Hi, coaches. My name is Darren McLeod. I'm part of our technical team for the club. Welcome to our introductory meeting about the Valley Youth Soccer League and its preferred training method. Thanks for coaching. We really can't offer any of our programs without you and your dedication to our players and the time that you put in. So it's greatly appreciated that you come out and help. The presentation is mainly for our new coaches. If you haven't coached with us before, and unfamiliar with our PTMs and our on the coaching curriculum, this is for you. If you haven't before, we'll have another series of coaching meetings where we'll actually talk about coaching and some of the leading the drills and stuff. More stuff to deal with actually dealing with the players. This more is about our operations and setups. We'll provide a session plan weekly for you, everybody. We'll have some coaches guides which are expanded of each of the sessions with lots of extra coaching points. We'll talk about our preferred training model and the benefits of it and how we operate it. The side-by-side games that we use on Saturday that we have more players playing and the benefits and the reason why we do that and play small-sided. We got some information about the game day fields and maps. We have a few links about how skills recognition videos at the end for you to use. We have a full curriculum for all our age groups, right through from Bambinos who do a game day only play and practice on Saturdays, right up to our 12 to 14 youth players. That curriculum will be emailed to you all, but we also put it here in a Google Classroom, so you'll have access to. Many coaches like this because you can go in and pull them out and look at the sessions and print them off. And we do recommend that you do print them off and study them maybe the day before or the afternoon before you come to your session and you're familiar with it. We find it's a little easier than pulling them off your phone. This is an example of micros, the week one session. Each of the sessions come with 4 parts, so with a descriptor, coaching tips and points, focus, player habits, and mentality for the day. For the skills boxes, we have links to some videos at the end of the presentation that will show you a whole bunch of skills that you can use and introduce into those beyond toe touches and foundations and such. Yeah, so the classroom is there. There's all the stuff for the whole year there, but we also email them out every Sunday. Some coaches don't like the classroom or have difficulty using it depending on their platform. So we'll email them out on the Sunday, and the training will start on a Tuesday. So look for them. If you aren't initially getting them, we'd like to just have something wrong in our database, and we have to get an email address to correct it, or it could be going to a spouse. So that happens lots. And each of the sessions are tailored and themed for the age group. We get more advanced as you go. And then each of the different age groups has slightly different training models, and these are this list, and we'll talk about them as we get into the presentation, but they're slightly different for each of the age groups. This is a mini session. Let's talk about a makeup of all our sessions. All will have a skill. Part 1 is a skill-based activity, because without skill, you can't play soccer. If you can't control, pass, or receive the ball, then really you're out for a run. So right up to the pros, they will focus on skill and to get better and better at their skill. And as the players get older, we'll adding in more spatial awareness type of activities. Part 2 and 3 here, a 1v1 and a 3v2, because at its core, soccer is just these circumstances played over and over again. 11-a-side game, it can move quicker and such, but really at the end, it's you taking on a player so you can beat them and maybe a teammate coming in to help, and then that circumstance gets played again. The last one, part 4, Funino. Each of our sessions at the older age groups will have a Funino. This one is tailored with the wide nets to promote width. So the second principle of soccer is width. So depth and width in a 4v4 at this age group can be taught, and the players can be encouraged to get out wide and awarded for making a pass or a switch across the field. So each of our sessions will have a Funino. Each of them will have attaching a coach's guide. We'll talk about either an attacking theme or a defensive theme, because you can coach all your fundamentals in a 4v4. This is a Bambino session. They'll have 2 activities. We'll start their day with a couple of activities, 10 to 15 minutes each. Sometimes it might be good to have a third one in the back pocket to throw out there because sometimes their attention spans are little. This gauge group is really important just to focus on their ABCs, agility, balance, and coordination, and just becoming body aware and understanding how to move. Um, Lots of games that bring lots of energy in this age group. So this is a junior session. It does still have its 4 parts, but they're not delivered in a PTM. They're delivered in a progressive model. We start with a skill, move into a condition game, part 3, and then a themed game into part 4. The players move build up to an ending game in a progressive model. The key to the progressive model is to set up so that you can move through your session efficiently and quickly. So the Findino is set up on the end with the end goals, and the boundaries are your cylinder cones shows the outside of your boundaries. So the orange cones are your inner for the games. Your blue cones represent your channels, and the yellow cones can represent the boundary that you can do your first part 1 in. So orange cones are the gates inside the yellow cones, and as you progress to the next drill, you pick up the orange and yellow cones, and your blue cones become your channels for your part 3, and then you pick up the blue cones and play to the bigger area for your Findino for your part 4. So this is an example of a coach's guide. Each of the sessions will have a guide for each of the parts. The description will be similar. Sometimes we are pinched for space in the main session, so there might be amplifying points. And usually down below there are highlighted points to make the session go better. The coaching points and key points. Pick 1 or 2. Don't try to deliver every point in the session. You may have 2 or 3. Maybe one player, can do the one. Maybe another player needs an extra amplified or harder challenge or coaching point. To make the session easier or make it harder for each of the players, there's some to challenge players and to help players find success categories. And then each of the coach's guide will have an adate competition. Players love to compete. So there's pointers to how to make each of the sessions competitive. This one's easy for just adding bonus points for extra goals. Power-ups, they call them, award more points for in a round. Anything that will add a competitions to the activity. 1.2 about all the 1v1s or 2v2s is don't make them too big. Allow the players to fail a little bit and force them to stay inside the boundaries. What it does do is it forces them to concentrate and recognize that they can't just run and kick the ball, and it keeps your sessions going quicker. So just a quick summary of what the coaches guys offer. You have the expanded coaching points. You have a way to tailor the session to make it harder or easier for have your players have success. Some key points to focus on. They're a great reference, and there's more coaching points than you can deliver in one session. And so focus on one key point that your team needs. So let's talk about the preferred training model. Canada Soccer introduced this several years ago. This will be our 4th year that we've used in the VYSL. We also use it in our Monday Night United Development Program. What we find with the PTMs is that it really helps keep kids engaged. They always have something new to experience as they move through the 4 stations of the night, so it keeps it exciting for them, and this helps with their engagement. What it does in the VOSL, it allows you to become an expert. You don't have to learn 4 activities; you just have to focus on the one. As one coach will stay with the activity and one coach will travel with their team, you as you deliver will have 4 opportunities to deliver that session. It moves us coaches from being task orientated to player centered. We don't have to move around cones and adjust a whole bunch. It's all set up for us, and we can just focus in on the players. It allows players to learn and experience different coaches because we all deliver in different fashion. So one player may learn better from us, and then learn better from another player learn better from a different coach. It allows us to get all the coaches get to know the players. These players will be with you as long as you look like a coach because we're age group specific. So the kids will be with you for hopefully for the duration and hopefully for right up to we graduate you out of high school. This is a picture of Quinish. We'll be training on Quinish Middle School this year, and it shows how 4 teams will orientate them. Right now, the U6 boys are projected to have 8 teams, so we'll have 2 training stations for the boys. This is just a summary of all the benefits and the reasons why we use the PTM. If you want to pause the video, you can have a quick read over these. So this is an example of a 4-team PTM. The 4 teams will work together for the duration of the year. Each of the teams will set up in the same quadrant and quarter every week. Each of the teams will set up the same part. So team 1 will always set up part 1, but you don't have to worry about setting up or doing the same type of activities. Each of the sessions have the parts moved around. So one week part 1 will be a 1v1, and then the following week part 1 would be a finino so you don't have to get stuck doing the same type of thing. One coach, as we said, will stay with the station to deliver the activity, and one coach will travel with the team. What you should do inside each of the 4 is set a timekeeper, so somebody that pays attention to the time. Some groups will have a timekeeper for both PTMs. For a previous example of the U6 boys, they may have one person that blows a whistle or with a big voice just calls out time. You just establish that amongst your groups. So just a fancy picture to show the PTMs. What I encourage you to show in this slide is to try to set up in the middle with all your kit, and then to try to keep your parents on the outside. And if you're set up in the middle and kind of establish yourself along the lines, the segregating lines between each of the parts, it'll just help facilitate to move the kids around. Parents can like to watch, and they may be sitting. They can just pick up their chairs and move around. But just ask them. They have no problems moving. I ask them quite often, and they'll move out for you. Just another summary slide. It has all the points we just talked about. If you wanted to pause there, you could have a review of them. At times, you could find yourself working with teams of 3 rather than 4. In the spring, we'll have divisions with 10 teams for like this example. So that means that 2 of the PTMs will have to have 3 teams, not rather than 4. And in the fall, sometimes we'll have a division with 6. So they, again, we'll have 2 PTMs of 3 teams. So we'll just talk briefly about what we need to do with the 3-team rotation. So just like in a 4-team rotation, you'll always start in the same area and you always set up the same part. Just because the one station is empty, we'll just have to figure out a scheme that you set up. Collectively set it up, or sometimes coaches are there early and they set it up. You'll have to share equipment likely though, because sometimes of a pug, if you need 2 pugs or 4 pugs, you'll have to use the other team's stuff. The rotation works very similar. Obviously one coach will travel and one coach will stay. Well, just when we stay, the one coach in this example will have to come from part 3 over to part 4 just to help out and to facilitate session. So you may have to, if you're in a 3-team rotation, you may have to deliver 2 activities versus just a 1. Just another summary slide again, if you'd like to pause it and you can just review the points that we just covered. This is Highlands PTM. We share our fields with baseball right across the whole valley. Field usage is huge, and we have to share. So at Highland, we have adult baseball on the big diamond. So we just asked our teams not to train in the area that's designated on the slide with no training area. This keeps you away from the foul balls down the third base line. If you move about halfway into the field, it's more than safe and you're adequately away. So there's lots of space up there. The U10 boys, in this example, the younger age groups will always train closest to the pickleball court. And last year we had a nice rugby line to line up on. But if you could if we're not sure we'll have those rugby lines this year. So if you could just move over as best you can, and then this creates a lot of space for the U11 boys in this example. This is Quinish Elementary. We'll be using it for our micros division to train on this year. There's a nice, great big space there that runs along the parking lot for the hospital. There's tons of room to set up and have our two PTMs there. Each of our sessions will have this timing matrix down. This one's for 60 minutes. It shows you with a 5-minute warm up, and then approximately 11 or 12 minutes for each of the stations. And this is what the timekeeper would follow. Blow the whistle at 17 minutes, and then do your first rotation after you've done your warm up and your activity. Another summary slide. Just a point though for our youth coaches. Don't forget to leave time for your end game. Sometimes we get focused in on the previous 3 activities and we pinch our end game. So good idea to set yourself maybe a 5-minute timer on your watch or so, but just don't forget to have your game. This is an example of side-by-side games. We use side-by-side games all the way up to U14. We play on smaller fields, and by doing so, this increases the number of times the player will come in contact with the ball. By having fewer players on the ball in a smaller area, this by percentage increases the chances of you playing the ball. You can envision playing 11-a-side soccer and how infrequently that each one individual player will touch the ball. When the players are developing, we want them to be on the ball, touching as much as we possibly can. The smaller fields get you closer to the ball. As the players get older and physically increase and get bigger, we do increase the size of that. There's an interesting article about the German Soccer Association who's gone to this exact model, and they even try to break themselves down into 2v2 and 1v1. Bonus of small-sided soccer on a small field is that you're close to the net, so you get a lot of scoring, and scoring's fun. That's why we play the game. We want to score. So the small field really does put you close to the goal, and we really do want to score lots of goals. It's a ton of fun, and that's why we've upsized the goals. Each of the divisions have larger goals that are appropriate for their age group, and so they have a good chance of scoring, and really encourages the player to look to score. This is an example of a 4v4. I just want to highlight that we do play with the retreat line in all our divisions. In this example, it's asked that the team not taking the goal kick comes back to center and allows the team taking the goal kick that space to play in before the team defends. So a retreat line just promotes players being comfortable and playing out of the back. And how it works in practice is that the goalie kicks it, and you cannot enter the zone until another player on the goalie's team plays the ball. Unlike 11-a-side soccer that you can move into the box when the ball is kicked by the goalie. With the retreat line, you have to wait till a second player has touched the ball, and then you can play normal soccer rules. But just on a goal kick, just ask your players to drop off, and then it'll just help build the confidence of the players to wanting to play with the ball. On game day, everybody plays. You split your squad into 2. Each side has a game going. Players can move between the sides, and they can play on one side, come off, and then go play on the other side. By doing such, you get a lot of players to be challenged. If you have a stronger player on one side and you need another stronger player to defend them, you can move them over, play them on the same side. It allows coaches to move players between side to balance teams. So the competition on one side gets a little lopsided. You move a player from the other side over to try to balance it out. If you are on a losing end, you can play with more players. If you don't have the ability to add a player, then take one of theirs and put a bib on them and have them play with you till the score gets unlopsided, and then you can go back. Keep everybody playing. Adjust the players per side if the numbers are too few for both sides of the field. So if you're meant to play 6v6 and you don't have enough, play 5v5 on the other side, and just so make sure everybody gets playing. Coaches can be on the field with the Bambinos and Micros, and referees will start at U10. This is the Bellevue setup for game day. Each of the places have their own locations, and each of the fields have to be set up. Each of the groups that start the day will set up. First on, we'll put the flagpoles and move the goals into place. So for the micro fields, the goals get put up. The strike goals are collapsed in a bag. The mini goals, the bigger aluminum ones that have to get moved on. So the first setup of the day is Bambinos, U8 boys, and U10 boys. The U10 boys over at Highland. I have to move the nets in place and put the flagpoles out too, where they're stored in the equipment room at the back of the bathroom facility at Highland. Here at Comox at the club, they're in the CVUSC clubhouse in the equipment room. Then at the end of the day, the last group has to put the fields away. U7 boys, U8-9 girls, and U11 boys put away. U6 girls, we've had a little bit of spatial issue, and we've had to compress our times. So for this year, they'll be training on their own fields, and they'll have to set up and take down for the days. We'll have all the grass fields numbered, so you'll know where to go. So the summary slide that we just talked about, key points there is to identify if your division has to set up and take down. It goes in, routine gets established right quickly, and it doesn't really take very long because there's usually a lot of people to help. So, but the first couple of weeks come a little bit earlier and just help get everything into place. And at the end of the day, take a moment to ask your parents to give yourself a hand so you're not doing all that stuff, taking all the fields down on your own. So this is the vanity fields that we play our 6v6 in each on a quarter, a little bit of bigger space for the bigger athletes. The boys set up and the girls tear down. On occasion, though, the girls will have one fewer team than the boys, or two fewer teams. So we need one fewer field. So if you happen to be on the one field that we ask the boys to tear it down, we'll identify that to you before the season starts. This slide just shows the breakup of the fields for training nights. For this one shows the boys. We're going to train slightly different this year. We're not going to train in a PTM. We're going to train and play more games orientated. So we'll use a modified progressive model where maybe we have one fewer activity, and what we play a couple more games in this night. We want our players to be confident on the ball, and that comes through dribbling. All these sites have tons of great resources to show you the different skill moves that they can be offered to the players. Take an opportunity to focus on a few that you really like. Most importantly, using the bottom of your foot. It's an underutilized skill, and the more chances we can use the bottom of our foot to get in and out of trouble and manipulate the ball, the better our players will be. For the very young players, physical literacy is the most important thing. So having them touch the ball with the various parts of the foot. If you can even get them to do a pullback turn, would be great advances for their play. So yeah, have a look, get a couple that you really like. My favorite is the Corchetta. That concludes our presentation about the preferred training method and game day setup for the VYSL. If you have any questions, please reach out to the club. Thank you again. We cannot offer soccer in the Valley without your support and dedication to the kids. So thank you very much. We'll see you on the field.